what I'm trying to do. All right. Hi, everybody. Tonight is the 1st of February, and we are getting ready for our trip to Iceland. So EF Tours, the company that we're going with, has asked me to present a, let's see, how am I going to do this? There we go. Is asked me to present a PowerPoint to you guys. So I've gone through this PowerPoint, and then I have also gone through and added some stuff about our trip in particular. So hopefully the many emails that I've sent you are sort of pulled together here in this email. So everybody can see preparing for departure on their screen. Yes. Excellent. Okay, good deal. So, so as far as this is about 20 slides, just so that you have an idea. So we're going to cover all this stuff, the travel documents, insurance, some ideas about what you should look into before we go, packing, our flights, what we can expect on the day that we arrive in Reykjavik, our tour director, information about our tour director. I don't have their name yet, but I will update you as soon as I do. Some stuff about our hotels, rooming, meals, tipping, spending money, safety, group travel tips, and emergency info. All right, so the first thing is passports and visas. We do not need any visas to go to Iceland. So everybody has turned in their passport information and it's on file. So when we do go, make sure that you bring your physical passport and just double, triple check to make sure that the name that you have with EF Tours is the same as the name on your passport. Another thing that's a really good idea to do, my husband David, my son Mike, and I went to the Dominican Republic this summer, and we also took pictures of our passports, and we emailed them to, or I emailed them to ourselves so that we would have those copies somewhere out there in cyberspace as well. So it's a good idea just in case you do misplace it or whatever. Iceland is a really safe country, so I'm not expecting that we're going to be troubled by pickpockets or any sort of crime. But it's better to just be prepared for the eventuality if you're like me, that I just like leave it somewhere. So we don't want any of that to happen. Next part is, I think most everybody has global protection, but if you want to check that just to make sure, if you have $165, given that's to EF, not to me. But if you have global protection, that protects against illness and accident, you'll get a refund of some sort if you become ill or not able to go. It also covers baggage and property damage, program cancellation and interruption, and flight delays. So not planned flight delays, like when we're planning to go to Seattle and we have that extra day, EF is picking up our hotel room and then giving us a tiny little stipend for food, $15. So I guess we can all get a coffee and a donut and then lose some weight that day is what I guess. But, or we can spend a little bit extra money, but $15 is not a lot, but it's better than nothing. And the hotel room is definitely a good idea. Yes.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes, please.
Wasn't the global protection plan included in the price we paid? I thought it was automatically.
When you signed up, yes, when you signed up, I think you included it in yours, Nancy. And I'm pretty sure almost everybody did. Everybody who's on tonight, I'm pretty sure has done that. So, but there was like, you had to check a box and then it became part of your price. So there you go. Yeah. But that was a slide from EF just to make sure, but I feel pretty confident that almost everybody on our tour did that. So we should be good. As far as COVID goes, there's just, this is a really weird subject, but there's 3 levels of requirements. One is traveling within the US. The second is being admitted to and traveling within Iceland. And then the third one is EF Tours themselves. But basically, for COVID safety, everybody has to take a COVID test at home is fine. You don't have to do like a a hospital test, that take a test and show that you're negative within 24 hours of departure. And you need to be up to date and carry your vaccination card with you. And once again, take a picture of your vaccination card and do that. David and I had vaccination about a week ago. Neither one of us had any reaction to it. I hope everybody else is the same. As far as the COVID tests, you can order 4 from the USPS. I ordered 4. So I have some at my house, but you can also order them free, or if you need a COVID test, let me know and we'll figure it out. So make sure you have it. Then you just have to take a picture of it. Our tour coordinator, not our tour coordinator, but our EF liaison has said nobody's going to ask you for proof. It's just, but take a picture of the negative COVID test results to show that. Then 30 days before we depart, there's a COVID safety agreement that we have to sign. And so I will make sure to remind you when the 30 days are here. I think I had already told you to sign it, and then actually it's not time because it's not available yet. So, so that was my bad, but we do need to take care of that before we go. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna hang on a second. I want to make this little so I can see this better. Okay, pre-departure research. I had sent you guys a video of a BBC series about travel in Iceland. And I think if you want to see that, I think it's really, really interesting. But basically, Iceland is a very live and let live kind of country. They have low crime rates. Almost everybody there speaks English. And so I think that our cultural issues are not going to be as great as they would be if we were traveling to a different destination. So the other thing is, and I guess this will come up later as well, it's my understanding that Iceland takes credit and debit cards pretty much everywhere. A lot of Icelanders do not carry cash. So there's probably not a reason to carry or to convert a lot of American money, American dollars into krona. But sometimes it's fun to have international money anyway. But as I understand it, if you have a card, you can get by just very nicely in Iceland. All right, so here we are with the packing. I do have the specifications on the luggage that we can have, and we talked about this earlier, but EF Tours recommends that we travel lightly and that we do carry on luggage. It's not a requirement, but if you do check baggage, you need to make sure to make those arrangements with the airlines. We'll be flying Alaska Air from Billings to Seattle, and then Iceland Air from Seattle to Reykjavik. And so you need to check with the airlines to see what their policies are as far as cost and how many baggage you can take and how much it's going to cost and so forth. The one thing I did mention right down here, we're going to be going to a very famous hot water mineral spa called the Blue Lagoon. So I would suggest that you bring a swimsuit. I know I will be bringing a swimsuit, so I think it will be fun, but I think that will make it a whole lot better. In general, it's not a nude spa, but I'm just saying you should bring that so that you are ready for that. As far as phones and chargers, I checked my carrier is Verizon, and my phone is a Motorola Play Moto or Moto 2. And I called Verizon, and my phone will work in Iceland. And I have a plan called a Travel Pass, which is, it doesn't cost anything until I make my first call from Iceland or receive my first international call while I'm in Iceland. And at that point, I'll start to pay $10 a day just on my regular Verizon bill. And that will last for 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, the next time I make a call or receive a call or text, it'll be another $10. So my advice to you is to check with your phone carrier to see if your phone will work, and then also to see how much it will cost. And that brings us up to this idea of power outlets. this is what a power outlet in Iceland looks like. There are two holes, and there's two sort of cylindrical prongs that go into the hole. It's the same outlet that they use in most of Northern Europe. So you can get an adapter for that. But the other part of it is that Iceland electricity has a higher voltage. So it's 230 volts, and as opposed to about 110 or 120 here in the United States. So you also need to have a transformer or an adapter. It's a power adapter. This is one that was recommended, but I have one that I just got like from Tourister Luggage. So, and you don't have to use it on everything, but you can, because their voltage is higher, especially for something that generates heat, like if you have a curling iron or a blow dryer or something like that, it can create some real problems with, and can actually damage your equipment. So it's a good idea to have both, but I think enough people are going to bring them that we could share them as well. This is our flights. So we're going to leave on the 11th of March at 8:25 in the morning from Billings. That means that we'll need to be there 2 hours probably ahead of time. So we need to be there at 6:30 in the morning. We'll fly out on Alaska Airlines. We'll get to Seattle. And then from Seattle, we'll take Iceland Air overnight into Reykjavik. Iceland is, I believe, 8 hours ahead of us. Hang on a second. I got to find out. I knew this a minute ago, but now I don't know. But it's on European time. So it's actually not what you would expect it to be based on where it is. So right now in Iceland, it's 2:16 in the morning. So they are 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 7 hours ahead of us. So I think if you look at where they are on the globe, you would expect them to be 4 or 5 hours ahead, but it's actually 7 because they're on European time. So what that means is that when we fly in and we get there at 6:15 in the morning in Reykjavik, that's of course Iceland time. So it's not, I mean, it's not as brutal as it looks. It's not a 20-hour flight. It's 20 minus 7, which will be 13-hour flight, which is still a lot, but we'll get there first thing in the morning. So when we come back, we'll go from Reykjavik to Seattle, and then we do this overnight in Seattle. So then that's why they gave us the motels and a little bit of money for Seattle, so we can sightsee in Seattle. There's no planned schedule. I was talking to a woman who lives in Seattle today, and she was giving me some suggestions, so we can talk about that. But then we'll come back to Billings and we'll get in on the 18th, which is Sunday at 10 o'clock at night. So some of the questions, and we don't have to answer these tonight, but we do have enough seats. There are 13 of us traveling. 4 of the travelers are a family group, and they're going to meet us at the Billings airport. So that leaves 9 of us. And so one of my other sons, Ben, and his wife Rachel are going to bring a crew cab pickup from Cody, and then my husband and I will bring a car from Powell, and that amounts to 9 seats. So we can get 9 people in those cars. But please let me know where you want to be picked up, or if you want to drive yourself. We need to be at the Billings airport at 6:30 a.m. on March 11th. So that means we're going to need to leave Powell and Cody by about 4:30 in the morning. So within the next week or two, let me know if you want to drive yourself. If you're planning to spend the night in Billings, if you have family or friends up there, we could pick you up in Billings. Or do you want to be picked up at Powell or Cody, or do you have other arrangements that you want to make? But just let me know so that I can make sure everybody is taken care of. All right. So on Iceland Air, this is what you're allowed if you choose to do carry-on luggage. You get 1 carry-on bag and 1 personal item. And these are the dimensions: 21.6 by 15.7 by 7.8 inches, including handles and wheels. And that's a little small. Nancy Miller and I went through this a little bit, and we talked about the measurements, and my husband and I got some luggage for the trip, and it's a little bit smaller than for most domestic flights. So just make sure if you have a roller bag or some sort of a carry-on that you like to use, that it matches these numbers. The personal item is like a purse or a laptop bag or a backpack, but it would be a pretty small backpack. So the size is, once again, 15.7, 11.8 by 5.9. Now, this is a weird thing. the carry-on has a maximum weight of 22 pounds. The personal item does not have a maximum weight. So that might assist us in our packing if things get tight. Now, like I said, this is on Iceland Air. On Alaska Air, the dimensions are a little bit different, 2214 by 9. It says or 45 linear inches. So if you look at it, this 14 inches is a little bit narrower than the Iceland Air. But if you add up the measurements on Iceland Air, it comes out to be 45.1 inches. So in other words, if it'll fit on Iceland Air, we can go with the linear inches on Alaska Air and it's still going to work. Alaska Air does not state a size for a personal item. So once again, and they don't mention weight on either of these, which was, I don't know, but I guess I would go with 22 pounds and the sizes on Iceland Air is what I would do to be safest, to make sure everything's going to work. Now, most of us who travel are used to checking in ahead of time and having our seats assigned. Because we're traveling in a group, we have to check in at the desk or the kiosk when we get to the airport. We'll have a reservation number and we'll get boarding passes at that time, and they'll assign our seats at that time. Okay. And I think the flight from Billings to Seattle, I do not think has an in-flight meal, but the flight from Seattle to Reykjavik does. All right. So the cool part is that on arrival day, our tour guide is going to meet us at the airport in Reykjavik. I don't have the details about the people who are meeting us from New Hampshire, because there are 13 of us and 6 of them. So the 19 of us will have to be at the Reykjavik airport to leave with our tour guide. But at that point, everywhere that we can't walk, we'll have transportation and the tour guide, and sort of set times, and we'll have some freedom to do things we like. And then we'll have some time in guided experiences as well. But we'll meet the tour guide at the airport, so we don't have to worry about any transportation issues from the airport. From that point forward, we're pretty much taken care of. Right. So the tour director is kind of that local expert, and we'll have a plan for us that will go along with the itinerary that's been provided to us by EF Tours. One nice thing I think is really nice, our hotels are basically, they may be smaller, they may not have elevators, but they're basically American style hotels. If any of you have traveled in other countries, sometimes the rooms can be kind of a shock. So EF has stated in part of their mission that the hotels will be smaller, maybe less amenities, maybe no elevator, but they'll be comparable to the kind of hotels that we would have in the United States, which I think is pretty fabulous. So as far as rooming goes, there's a lot, everybody's already accepted room assignments. So some people, especially students, may be roomed with students from New Hampshire, but they don't room an adult or a non-student with a student, even if you're similar in age. So, and they'll make up the difference if a rooming assignment is not possible. But there's also a number here that you can call to make sure that everything is in line. Okay, so as far as the meals go, we will be provided a breakfast at the hotel. Lunch is generally on our own, and dinners are often included. Did someone have a question? No. Okay, I can't. I've got the faces off the screen so I can make sure to get everything on the details here. But if you have any dietary restrictions, you can call EF to let them know, and they can help you, or they can help make sure that you're taken care of as far as those restrictions go. Right. Now, I kind of put this together, but as far as spending money, I estimate that we're going to need about an additional $350 to cover some of the meals, the tip for our tour guide, and some limited amounts of souvenirs. So once again, you don't have to have that in cash. If you have it on card, that will be terrific. But that's kind of what I estimate to be the next amount. Now, what I've read about Iceland, there's no COVID testing necessary unless there comes up as a problem. But of course that changes. So I guess that's just a bridge we'll have to cross if we come to it, but I just hope we don't come to it. All right. There's some things about safety that they talk about, basically COVID. Make sure that you have a bag that zips so that you don't get pickpocketed. Keeping a wallet in your back pocket is kind of a bad idea. It's better to travel with a partner or a couple of people, and make sure that we establish meeting spots, and also walk away from any situations that feel uncomfortable. But once again, Iceland is an extremely safe and low crime area, so I'm not particularly worried. As far as group travel, there are just some courtesy tips: be on time, be flexible, be patient. And I think we all know that. So I think everybody in this group is an experienced enough traveler that if one of us sleeps in, it's going to kind of put everybody in a bad spot. So we don't want to do that. And then last but not least, we have some emergency support numbers for EF. And anytime if something just goes sideways, we can give them a call and we'll go from there. So ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have today. Do you guys have questions for me? Well, you guys are too easy. You're going to make this way easy on me. So.
Well, I do have, this is Annette Bollinger.
Hi, Annette.
Hello, I've got just a couple questions. The last couple trips we've been on, we paid, it would be you, we paid the tip money ahead of time, just
Right.
as a lump sum. Did you want to do that as well so that you have all that cash to pay the tour guide or the bus driver?
You know, and I appreciate that question because I wonder, oh, are we okay? I heard somebody talk. Okay. I heard, so what I asked our EF liaison to do is to put me in touch with the tour guide, because if he or she however they want their money, like if they say, you know, we can do a transfer, or you can give me, you know, I mean, I have this Venmo and you can, you know, so I want to figure out what the tour guide wants. So I'm hoping within a couple of weeks, I'm going to be able to get in touch, you know, either through email or something with the tour guide, and then I'll know for sure. But that's a great question. So
Okay.
as soon as I know, I'm going to let you know. So I have my little notebook here that I'm taking notes in the old fashioned way, you know, so that's one of that's one of the questions that I have. So the tour guide, paying the tour guide. Yes. All
right, great. The other question I have is, we certainly don't want to be the ones that are checking luggage, but I'm just trying to figure out how in the world for a week you can go to Iceland with snow clothes and winter boots and put it in that. We aren't frivolous. We don't pack extra, but I know when we went to Ireland and Scotland, we did check our bags and we literally wore everything. I just am trying to figure out how you really think you could put enough layers of clothing and snow boots and warm clothes and mittens and hats in that carry-on. Yeah. I've got my suitcase and I'm a little curious about it myself. So, you know, and I would just say, I mean, I talk big, like I'm going to go with just this carry-on, you know. Okay. But if worse comes to worse, I may be taking people that are, you know, closer to me and saying, you know, let's put all of our stuff together in this big suitcase and check it and keep our fingers crossed. So yeah. So because I've got, like I said, we got some suitcases that are really lightweight. You know, they weigh like 5 pounds. And, you know, we're only allowed 22 pounds. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's only 17 pounds. So I envision like wearing a lot of it. You know, I mean, like boy, do I hear you, Annette. I mean, this is a big deal. Like I said, you know, and for me, one thing I do, this doesn't have anything to do with the warm clothing, but I just wear like black when I travel.
Sure, sure.
Because, you know,
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna ring anybody. I'm not gonna be like the fashion maven of the trip, but it's like every time it's like today we're gonna wear a black t-shirt and a black sweater over it and a pair of black pants, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
So that's-
Right. Okay.
So,
All right.
but
Well-
if we need to check, we need to check. I mean, we have to get there, you know, that's the way it is. And it is really
Okay.
small. So I
Yeah.
understand. But let's
See
give
how
a
it goes.
go. Right.
Okay.
There you go. So
Okay.
yeah. So other questions?
Yeah, Astrid, along with clothing, I guess I was trying to decide, I was thinking it's more likely rain. My best shoes are some good sturdy tennis shoes to be walking in. I don't know how
Yes.
far, I mean, are we putting on 3 miles? And of course, if they get wet, then you take something else. And I figured if we do the glacier thing, do they provide boots and crampons? Because we're not hauling. I can't take my snowpacks unless I wear them on the plane.
That would take our entire suitcase if we brought our packs, right? I'm gonna double check the way I read it. They are gonna provide the equipment other than just the basic winter clothing that we would have. But I will double check on that as well, Nancy. So
And I know, I mean, the weather's a little more moderate. If the tour guide or somebody has an idea of what to expect in March, I mean, can we get
yes,
snow anytime, or are they kind of just into the rain
right,
since they're a little bit milder?
right, right.
We went on the
So
plane.
yes. So yeah, I'll check into that though too, because I mean, I think that's a really good point. So my plan was to wear you know, to wear boots and to take an extra pair of like walking shoes and pack them. So like every time I'm thinking about packing lightly, I'm thinking about wearing a lot of clothes, and that makes traveling kind of, you know, I mean, I know it's a little ungainly, you know, to do that, but it make something happen, you know what I mean? So I don't know. But yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. But if I like had to take a pair of, if we have to take a pair of packs, there's like, you know, put a pair of underwear and a t-shirt in your suitcase and you're done. So I'm assuming that that would be something that would be provided, but I will double check on that as well.
Okay.
So all right. So any other questions, you guys? Well, I'm really looking forward to this trip. And if you guys, some of you have already turned in, a lot of you have already turned in your health sheet. But if you haven't, that's just going to go to me. I'm just going to put together a spreadsheet for you that just says, you know, this person can't have gluten and this person has these medications or whatever. You know, it's not like going to go out to the general public. And then I will treat it very confidentially, but it's just in case, you know, just to make sure that we have all of our bases covered. So, so we're good to go. All right, you guys, well, it's getting close. I mean, it's exciting. We're 40 days away. So what's up? Oh. Okay. All right, everybody, I'll go ahead and put this, it'll be up tonight on YouTube and I'll send you the link. And if you think of any other questions, send me an email or a text. And we'll get everything squared away.
All right.
Nope. All right. All right, everybody. Thanks for everything. Good night.
Right. Night.